Hello again. Welcome back to week 46 of year 5 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is day 3. We're continuing through the book of Acts, and last time we saw the new governor, Festus, arrive. Festus was the third to last of the Roman governors of the province of Judea prior to the great Jewish revolt that ended in the destruction of the temple in 70 A.D. When Festus arrives, he goes first to Jerusalem and gains something of an understanding of the larger situation in Judea and of Paul's situation specifically, and he decides to attempt to gain the favor and the trust of the chief priests and the other leaders of the people by sending Paul back to Jerusalem for trial. When he suggests this to Paul, though, Paul appealed to Caesar, as was his right as a Roman citizen. This time, we will see something of the aftermath, as Festus introduces Paul and his situation to the last king of the Herodian dynasty, King Agrippa II. Now, this will provide Paul with another opportunity to tell his story, and we'll see 2 weeks seeing and hearing how this goes. First, what Festus has to say, and then what Paul has to say. So, this is verse 13 of chapter 25. After several days had passed, King Agrippa and Berenice arrived at Caesarea to welcome Festus. Since they were staying there several days, Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, "There is a man here who was left in prison by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews informed me about him and asked for a sentence against him. I told them that it was not the custom of the Romans to hand over anyone before the accused had met the accusers face to face and had been given an opportunity to make a defense against the charge. So when they met here, I lost no time, but on the next day took my seat on the tribunal and ordered the man to be brought. When the accusers stood up, they did not charge him with any of the crimes that I was expecting. Instead, they had certain points of disagreement with him about their own religion and about a certain Jesus who had died, but whom Paul asserted to be alive. Since I was at a loss how to investigate these questions, I asked whether he wished to go to Jerusalem and be tried there on these charges. But when Paul had appealed to be kept in custody for the decision of his imperial majesty, I ordered him to be held until I could send him to the emperor." Agrippa said to Festus, "I would like to hear the man myself." "Tomorrow," he said, "you will hear him." So on the next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp, and they entered the audience hall with the military tribunes and the prominent men of the city. Then Festus gave the order, and Paul was brought in. And Festus said, "King Agrippa, and all here present with us, you see this man about whom the whole Jewish community petitioned me, both in Jerusalem and here, shouting that he ought not to live any longer. But I found that he had done nothing deserving death, and when he appealed to his imperial majesty, I decided to send him. But I have nothing definite to write to our sovereign about him. Therefore I have brought him before all of you, and especially you, King Agrippa, so that after we have all examined him, I may have something to write, for it seems to me unreasonable to send a prisoner without indicating the charges against him." So, this is fairly brief, and we don't see Paul say anything, but the point is, last chapter, I think it was in verse 9, we saw St. Luke indicate that Festus suggested sending Paul to Jerusalem because he wanted to do a favor for the Jews. Here, we're getting a little bit of a different picture, that Festus is genuinely confused and perplexed about what he's supposed to do, that Paul doesn't seem to have broken any laws, which the Romans would imprison him for, much less execute him for. He is a Roman citizen, and, but the Jews are really, really determined to hate him and keep on coming back. So he's kind of indicating he'd be ready to let Paul go, except that's a strange thing for the Romans to do, let someone go instead of torture them and kill them, right? What's wrong with us? Did we forget how to be baddies, as it were? But with all of Palestine, all of Judea in such an uproar about Paul, he's nervous and uncomfortable. But on the other hand, if he sends him to Rome without an actual accusation of what the emperor is supposed to, investigate in him, well, then that looks bad too. So he's kind of stuck here, as it were. But then he gathers everyone else together and is ready to help, hopefully help him figure out what to say. So that's the context here. And with that, we're finished. God bless you all. We'll see you next week.